So we had some breaking news in the Trump documents case. I thought we should have a gander. Let's just jump straight over to MSNBC with the announcement. Here we go. So this is MSNBC talking about recent revelations that will come as a surprise to absolutely no one that has followed Donald Trump's personal career, business career, his professional let's try that again. His personal business career or his public politics career. It won't be a surprise to you. He's a con artist and a liar. Thoroughly a liar. It looks like he lied further about the documents case. We knew this from the start, but let's just get it confirmed officially.
We start with breaking news. Legal heat engulfing Donald Trump. Donald Trump is in some real trouble in the classified documents probe as more legal vets predict an indictment is coming, even jail time. New exclusive bombshell reporting from the Washington Post. Trump workers reportedly moving a Mar-a-Lago box one day before the DOJ came for the documents and allegedly carried out a, quote, dress rehearsal for moving sensitive papers even before his office received the May 2022 subpoena. This new information showing calculated moves by the Trump team directly undercuts Trump's argument that he didn't think he was doing anything wrong. Remember, he told Sean Hannity he declassified the documents with his mind.
I did declassify, yes.
Okay. Is there a process? What was your process to declassify?
There doesn't have to be a process, as I understand it. You know, there's different people say different things, but as I understand, there doesn't have to be. If you're the president of the United States, you can declassify just by saying it's declassified, even by thinking about it.
Yeah, he's not Professor X. That's not a thing. The Washington Post reporting investigators have come to view the Trump team's actions and timing as suspicious and an indication of possible obstruction. Shocker. This coming on the heels of reports that special counsel Jack Smith is wrapping up the probe. Bloomberg reporting he is poised to announce possible criminal charges in the days or weeks after Memorial Day. Multiple outlets reporting Trump's allies are preparing for a federal indictment. Trump's lawyers making a last-minute plea to meet with Attorney General Merrick Garland, sending him a letter asking him to meet at his, quote, earliest convenience to discuss the ongoing injustice that is being perpetrated by your special counsel and his prosecutors. Look, it's clear Trump is rattled, already indicted on criminal charges in New York, and now facing a very real threat of another indictment from the DOJ. His former White House lawyer even predicting he will go to jail for obstruction. Joining me now is former federal prosecutor Renato Mariotti and Pulitzer Prize-winning Washington Post columnist Eugene Robinson. I will start with you, Eugene, because...
Hold up, Eugene. Look, let's just recap that real quick. What was Trump in trouble for initially? Trump was in trouble for obstructing justice. It looked, the publicly available information, no matter how you cut it up, meant that Trump was guilty. That's not a tremendous surprise. The debate being had, again, based on just the public information, the debate being had was how guilty. He was saying that he interpreted the law differently than, it was written. And et cetera, et cetera. We were inevitably going to go to court about this. This is another level. This is not obstructing based on a misinterpretation of the law. This is showing a knowledge that he was doing something wrong. That's a different ballgame. Now, it might not really seem like news if you're on the left. We know who this guy is, and we assumed, I think, most of us assumed that this was the sort of mentality the guy had the whole time. But it's a different thing entirely for the government to acknowledge that, for that to be part of the actual investigation. That's why I think to lefties it is news. We've had to sit through lifetimes, multiple lifetimes worth of, depending on when you were born, you might have seen the tail end of some and beginning of others, of the powerful people in our country, the people who run our country, be they business executives or politicians, getting passes on stuff like this, with the government only willing to investigate at all the lightest version of whatever they did. So this is huge. This is great. This is one of many, many, many illegal things this guy's done that he is now facing consequences for. Truly, I know it's exhausting, but rejoice, man. We're going to see ugly stuff. We're going to see the blood and guts of the justice system. But understand that it's surgery. And to fix this country, we're going to see a hell of a lot of mess. Know that even though it's ugly, it's a good thing.
Honestly, I just want a larger political perspective on this. I've never been a fan of saying, okay, we know Trump's really in trouble now. But politically speaking, the most obvious crime that he has been committing all along, which is having documents he's hiding, what are the potential implications of this new reporting on his 2024 prospects and the number of Republicans who seem to still want to attach themselves to him?
Well, I'll give you my answer by speaking rather than just with my mind, like the president does with declassification. Look, the first indictment seems to have strengthened the bond between the Republican base, at least the MAGA base, and Donald Trump. I would not be surprised if that happened again with an indictment on the classified documents case. I would not be surprised. Now, Republicans who are detachable from Trump, Republicans who have already
that delay is
basically
weird.
washed
Hold
their
up.
hands of.
Let's refresh this.
We start with breaking news. Legal heat engulfing Donald Trump.
Here we go.
Well, I'll give you my answer by speaking rather than just with my mind, like the president does with declassification. Look, the first indictment seems to have strengthened the bond between the Republican base, at least the MAGA base, and Donald Trump. I would not be surprised if that happened again with an indictment on the classified documents case. I would not be surprised. Now, Republicans who are detachable from Trump, Republicans who have already basically washed their hands of him, and perhaps more important, independents, if he gets to the general election, independents who might still have a question about Donald Trump. I can't imagine who that is. For them, yeah, this is a big deal. If you're indicted in federal charges for what you did with classified documents, who knows what the charges would be, but these are very serious charges. But as far as
just really want to address that whole issue. Will Republicans support him more if he's charged with crimes? Maybe. Certainly, it seems more likely in the short term. But we've been talking about this from the beginning, and bear it in mind. These people judge morality based on consequences. They need the American conservative. They need a very simplistic set of cause and effect laid out for them, and they will not believe that somebody has done something wrong unless they suffer for it. If somebody steals candy from babies professionally, and they are given $1 billion for doing so, conservatives will assume that it is right to steal candies from babies. Similarly, anything Donald Trump has done has not resulted in punishment. So we know they're going to assume he's in the right until he's actually being punished for it. Similarly, we can't even joke, flirt with the idea of holding back on punishment because it might help him politically. There's also the other side of that. If him getting convicted and punished resulted in the American people, 100% of them, suddenly deciding, let's just say, so there's still some objection, 99% of them, suddenly deciding that they adored Donald Trump and they were very proud of him and all the crimes that he did, and that's how the country should be run, with those crimes. Well, guess what? The way our country is supposed to work is that we do what the people say. So if it should turn out that the American people really, really like all the crimes Donald Trump did, then he should be president. It sucks, but we have to start dealing with reality. Political opinion does not change facts. That is the era we need to leave, and we should be ashamed that we were ever in that era. So I don't think they're seriously suggesting that we factor in what Republicans feel about these charges as to whether or not he should be charged. But that's the impression I think a lot of commentators accidentally let their audience leave with. And wash it from the conversation. Should not exist.
The MAGA base is concerned. I think it's going to be, I'm being persecuted. Yes, he's being persecuted. It's the judiciary is weaponized and go Trump.
This is shocking to me. Renato, the idea that Trump didn't know that he had all these documents had always been something that I didn't really buy. But the revelation that his people were sort of moving and shuffling things around with full knowledge that it was being looked for, that should make this more or less an open and shut case. And for the first time, we're hearing the words
that audio's
jail.
Killing me.
What do you think the implications of that are for Trump's team? I mean, obviously they're concerned. They're trying to talk to Merrick Garland, but jail is a word that we really haven't heard associated with Trump since he left the White House 3 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Jason, it wasn't just that they were moving documents. They were doing it the day before the FBI and DOJ was coming. I mean, it is very suspicious. You don't need to be a lawyer or prosecutor to see that, right? I think a jury would see through that right away. I do think this is totally different and much more serious than the Manhattan case. And I think part of it is because the penalty here would be a very significant prison sentence. If you just look at other people who've been sentenced for similar behavior, there's a contractor, a federal contractor, who kept documents in his home, willfully kept them in his home, and he went to prison for, a year. So I think, here where you have obstruction of justice and dress rehearsal, we just heard about a moment ago, you'd have to think it would be higher. And the president, I think, frankly, should be held more accountable. And I think a lot of judges would consider it that way. So I think Trump's lawyers right now scrambling, and with good reason. I would be the same way if I was on their legal team. I think this would be a very difficult case to defend. And purely from a legal perspective, I'm not Eugene.
Oh, that hurts. There we go. Yeah, that is the only other thing on that I want to talk about. Thing number one, to recap, it does not matter what the political reaction is as far as the Department of Justice should be concerned. We should really, really stress that every opportunity that we get. The Department of Justice right now is an extraordinarily politically influenced organization. We cannot allow that to continue. Thing number two, exactly what that second commentator said. The second guest there said, I don't even, Tony, whatever the hell, I don't care. There will come a time when this stuff is punished, and there will be two times where we decide whether or not the leaders in our country are operating under the same justice system. Number one is if they are charged at all, and we have now broken that seal. We've gotten past that. Good. Trump can be charged. Excellent. He's been charged. Good. Thing number two is how will the punishment be affected by their position of power? Again, there tends to be comically light punishments. In the United States, in particular, we do a con where we charge people a fixed amount of money, regardless of how much money they personally have or have access to. And if you charge somebody like Trump $1 million for doing something, doesn't matter what it is, you have not really deterred them from doing that thing. If Trump gets house arrest as opposed to a year in prison like that other guy got, then again, we are choosing to say with our court rulings that he deserves to be treated lighter than everyone else. We can't do that. We just can't run a country that way. I agree with the second commentator. If you are given a position of responsibility like President of the United States, you must be held to a higher standard, not a lower one. It's that simple. Watch this space and be ready to watch this story, I should say. Doesn't have to be here. Just keep an eye on the various Trump court cases. And when sentencing rolls around, we're talking about months to years down the line. But for some of these, maybe months, because it's pretty open and shut. When it rolls around, be ready to protest. I'm talking about in that space before the judge decides, or after the judge decides guilt, and before sentencing. Get out on the street before we've even heard what the judge says and demand a harsh sentence. Should that, according to the books, affect what the judge will do? No, but it will. And we need to take this country by the scruff of the neck. We need to take serious steps to getting it fixed. So I'm sorry we started out with a bit of a bummer. We're going to go into the DeSantis stuff now, but that one is important. Be ready to get out there. Be ready to be loud about this. And take heart that the Department of Justice, so far, is actually pursuing the full extent of these crimes, it would seem. I'm excited to see what y'all have to say about this.